democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
We turn now to immigration policy, an issue that all but disappeared during the last phase of the presidential campaign. Immigrant rights activists in Los Angeles organized a rally Wednesday, the day after the election, following a 21-day fast for the future. Noting the crucial importance of the Latino vote in Obama's victory, they called on the president-elect to stop the brutal raids by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE. Independent journalist Fatima Mojadidi was at the rally and spoke to Raul Anorve from the Institute for Popular Education of Southern California.
We're asking for everybody for this country to be more humane, democratic, no more, they're asking for no more raids in our communities, they're criminalizing our youth, and we want to change. And the elections yesterday gave us a little bit of hope to make that change possible.
Under the Bush administration, the country witnessed a dramatic buildup in border security and immigration enforcement. Programs initiated by the Department of Homeland Security Chief Michael Chertoff included Operation Community Shield that targets immigrant gang members, Operation Streamline, and the Secure Border Initiative. Amidst growing complaints of abuses in the system, including reports of deaths of immigrants in detention, there's also been a sharp rise in the number and scale of ICE raids in communities across the country. Over 1,000 people were arrested in two of the largest single workplace raids took place in Laurel, Mississippi and Postville, Iowa earlier this year.
We're joined now by two guests from the immigrant rights movement. Alex Sanchez is executive director and founding member of Homies Unidos, a gang violence prevention and intervention program with offices in Los Angeles and El Salvador. He was among the nearly 150 people who participated in the Fast for the Future. He joins us from Los Angeles. And Janice Rochevelle is the executive director of Families for Freedom, a New York-based organization fighting deportation. She joins us here in the Firehouse studio. Alex Sanchez, the last time we were talking about you were fighting deportation. You were in jail, and there was a nationwide movement to free you. Briefly talk about your own experience and then about this 21-day fast that you participated in.
Yes, in 2000, in January, I was arrested by LAPD officers with the sole intention to deport me and not be able to testify as a key alibi of a 14-year-old kid that was being tried for murder as an adult. I eventually was processed into deportation proceedings, but the community was in outrage, and this was during the same time of the Rampart scandal. So I was able to with a lot of pressure from the community, and I presented a real solid case in regards to if I was to be deported, I was going to be killed by death squads in El Salvador that were targeting specifically deported immigrant youth labeled as gang members or had tattoos. I was able to win my political asylum case after 2 years fighting it.
And Alex, the fast that's been going on in Los Angeles, could you tell us who's been involved in it and why?
Well, IDEPSCA's taken a big lead and rise. Homies Unidos also took part, and other people, other community leaders such as Angelica Salas from Chirla, and others that took part. Individuals, students, there were elder community leaders, there were people undocumented, there were people that were documented, there were citizens that all participated from all realms because it's an important issue. We participated because we know that there's this policies in place that have really made it difficult for individuals to present asylum cases in immigration courtrooms under the assumption that they're deported, they're deportable gang members, and that limits the opportunities they may have to seek a real asylum case and be heard. So the fast was to bring this awareness into the communities, but also to awake this giant monster that was awakened before but went back to sleep. And we're trying to wake him up and really taking it to the steps of the White House now under a new administration of Obama, in which he's committed himself to really looking out for the immigrant community. And that's why we're asking for the demands that we're asking for this new administration to actually help Obama be successful in legalizing our people, our immigrant people, and keeping our families together in the U.S.
And Alex Sanchez in Los Angeles and your communities, the response to the election of Barack Obama, and how involved were people?
Well, people were really involved. I have a real personal story in regards to my brother who's at the California hospital fighting cancer. He woke up out of a surgery on Monday before the election, and he asked to go vote. Unfortunately, the doctors told me you cannot leave. If you check out, you won't be able to check back in. So under the pressure of my brother, that he wanted to vote, and it was his right to vote and could not be denied that right, I went around and figured out that he could actually vote. So we went to the county clerk's office in Norwalk. We're able to bring the paperwork through a process, and he was able to vote, and he voted for Obama because he believes in this new change and how important it is for us to get involved. So you have a big rally around the Latino community that were pushing on the issue that really demonstrated that there was this unity of African American and Latino, young and old, that were interested in participating in this historical election.
Janice Rochevelle, from Executive Director of Families for Freedom here in New York. I'd like to ask you your expectations now with an Obama presidency. On the one hand, as a candidate, Barack Obama said he'd try to deal with comprehensive immigration reform in his first year. However, his new chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, several months ago said that that's the third rail of American politics, immigration, and that it will have to wait, according to him, until the second term of a Democratic president.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we want, just echoing what Alex said, I think what we want to see from President Obama is really a shift. You know, the Bush administration has really just tightened the enforcement noose around our communities, and what we are looking for is a shift in policy that says enforcement only cannot be the only way that immigration policy is done in this country, and we're looking for him to really, you know, step outside of some of the more conventional ways of thinking about immigration policy, you know, that mean more border, you know, the border wall, more border guards, more detention beds. We're looking for him to really step up and say, well, you know, discretion should be restored to immigration judges. We're looking for him to say, he has already said, you know, he's made some sort of progressive-leaning statements about immigration, particularly on issues of family unity, and also, you know, really calling for more just employer sanctions. But we're really looking for him to step outside of whatever the sort of mainstream philosophies are about immigration, particularly. I think, you know, if he's talking about not going all the way on CIR, I don't know, because I think a lot of the comprehensive immigration reform that was on the table in the last few years, I think, you know, if he's saying, well, we're not going all the way on CIR, I think some of the CIR proposals from the last few years were really problematic in a lot of ways. And so I think it's an opportunity for us now to really push for actual just, you know, more progressive, comprehensive immigration reform.
But the main aspects now that people are feeling are these ICE raids, and then the issue, obviously, of the wall that continues to be built along the border. So far, Obama hasn't really said much about either of those, has he?
I mean, he has said that, you know, ICE raids are ineffective, but, you know, what does that mean? And that means that, and, you know, he's also said, you know, he doesn't see the value of pulling a baby out of a mother's arms. All things that I think in theory are, you know, great statements, but really policy-wise, what is he going to do? You know, does that mean, you know, it would be really amazing and wonderful if he came in and said, which I think it would be a pretty easy ask, considering all of the human rights violations that have already been documented during ICE raids. If he came in and said, let's do a 6-month moratorium on raids. Let's investigate ICE as an agency that really has, you know, had so much leeway and is really just so has no accountability. Let's investigate this institution. Why is it that this institution keeps getting funded year after year while other institutions in the government are having to tighten their purse strings? ICE just keeps getting funded. So I do think that he has he has an opportunity here
Alex Sanchez, what about Operation Community Shield, which targets